Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me today. We have a very important topic, something that I have recently become very passionate about, and that is virtual meeting etiquette. So truth be told, this time a year ago, I would have had no strong opinions about virtual meeting etiquette, but like many things that 2020 and the pandemic have brought us, it is, for me, a whole bunch of virtual meetings. So I have been working remotely for 7 months, something like that, almost 100% remotely. And so everything that I have done collaboration-wise, whether that is individual one-on-ones or meetings sometimes with 30 people in it that I'm trying to facilitate, that's my job. That is a lot of where I spend my time and my energy is on Teams calls, Microsoft Teams calls, and Zoom calls, and Google Hangouts, and you name it, I have been on it to do a meeting. And in doing that, I have some opinions that I would like to share with you today. These, I say opinions, these are rules. These are things that you really should be minding if you want to have a positive virtual meeting experience. So specifically when we talk virtual meetings, I'm talking out in the professional world. If this is part of your day job, these apply to you. If you are doing a virtual interview, it's this times 10. These become so much more important because your margin for error is a lot smaller. So both of these apply, and I will caveat one versus the other where it is important. So let's jump in. All right, so virtual meeting etiquette. Number 1, headphones. Please wear headphones plugged into your computer. If you've called in, plugged into your phone, if you are brave and are comfortable chancing the Bluetooth connection, you can totally have AirPods or other Bluetooth headphones, earbuds, whatever they are. But you really just have to be wearing headphones. And here's why. Basic, I want to say physics. I don't know if that's it. It's definitely scientific that your computer, your laptop has a microphone and it has speakers. The speakers work like a speaker phone. They are loud. If your microphone on your computer is positioned close enough to the speakers, or the speakers are loud enough, then the microphone will be able to pick up on that output and it will go directly back in as an input, and thus we have created an echo. And the dreaded echo is gonna ruin any meeting that you're in. Like the number one thing to a successful virtual meeting is sound quality. If I can't see you, then that's annoying. I'd like to be able to have the video conference part of it. I can read body language a little bit more. I can see, facial reactions and that sort of thing. But if I can't hear you, then it's game over. We literally cannot have an effective meeting if we can't hear each other. So if you are in a virtual meeting and you are not using headphones, you are in danger of having an echo. There's 2 reasons why that's really annoying and very detrimental to the overall meeting. The first is if the echo is bad enough that other people on the call can't effectively communicate because all they can hear is their own voice coming back into their ears, then like that, you can't have a meeting that way. The other way is a little bit more subtle, and it took me a while to figure out, but if you are having a meeting specifically with a lot of people and you are noticing that you keep trying to cut into the conversation, but people aren't acknowledging that you are trying to speak, it is very possible that if you aren't using headphones, that when you're trying to interject, your input isn't strong enough to overpower the output of other people. And so the sound never makes it through to the other people. And I have seen this, and it took me a while to figure out what it was that was going on, but it just comes back to headphones. Like if there's already noise going on, and your speaker is picking that up, and your microphone is picking up that your speaker's picking it up, then your microphone won't be able to hear your voice to then input the sound into the meeting. So if you're noticing that that's happening, or you think that you've got an echo thing going on, which unless you have put in some real time and energy and money to make sure that, like, if you have a fancy microphone and there is sufficient distance between the microphone and the speakers, then maybe you're fine. Maybe you can get away with it. But for the vast majority of us who are just using our laptops as it was given to us the day that we got it, then you really should be using headphones. So to check this, to verify me, if you fact check it for sure, get on a call with a trusted coworker or a manager or something, a friend, call me, I'll answer, and record it. Every single one of these virtual meeting softwares has a recording feature. Record it. Have an interaction back and forth. Have the person intentionally test both. When you say something, can you hear yourself? Is there an echo? And when you're saying something or when the other person's saying something and you try to interject, are you having the sound conflict issue? And then third, just check your general sound quality. Like maybe you've got a bad echo going on. Maybe there's a lot of background noise that's happening. But record it and then listen back and check to see if you should be wearing headphones. And spoiler alert, the answer is yes. So that's number one. Please wear headphones. It will make everyone's lives easier. Again, cannot stress this enough. Times 10 for interviews. If you can't have the sound quality on an interview, it's going to mess up everything. And you're going to spend the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of your precious 30-minute interview or hour-long interview just trying to get to where you can hear each other without there being a terrible echo. So don't let this be a detractor to your interview experience. The second one, muting. So all of these softwares, all of these virtual meetings have the ability to mute yourself and turn your camera off and turn them back on, right? So for big meetings, it is my assertion that you should be proactively muting yourself. If you are not actively contributing to a conversation, you should put yourself on mute. And doubly so if you recognize that you're not wearing headphones and you are creating an echo. Just mute yourself if you recognize that you're an issue. The other side of that is if you just in general hear feedback, like hear an echo that's going on and you don't really know yet who it is, assume that it's you and put yourself on mute. Like just kind of like figuring out what's going on and stabilizing the situation. Just go ahead and put yourself on mute and you know that you aren't the problem at that point. Because again, sound quality is so crucial to a meeting moving forward. Okay. And another reason would be if you know that there's a lot of ambient noise around you that could be disruptive. So if there's construction going on outside, or if you are at home with your partner and you're both on calls, just be really intentional about muting so that the rest of the conversation can continue on. Again, inevitably in every single meeting, someone starts to talk and they are on mute. and someone else in the meeting sees that their mouth is moving and they have to say, hey, wait, you're on mute. Very possible that will happen to you at some point. It's just a muscle that you need to build up, is muting and unmuting in a really intentional, self-aware kind of way. So if you're in a meeting and you see that someone else should be muting, you can always say, hey, person who's talking, I can't really hear you. So say that's Susie's talking. I can't really hear you. Sound like there's some feedback. Can everyone else go on mute? In that case, fingers crossed, everybody mutes. We can now hear Susie as she makes her excellent point and contributes to the meeting. If that doesn't happen, then we move to our next step. So my third tip, my third rule of virtual meeting etiquette is to use the participant's view. So again, I have used Google Hangouts, Teams, Zoom, WebEx. I'm sure there's been others. And all of them have some version of being able to see who is in the meeting, and more specifically, whose microphone is active at that point. So I'm going to just keep on with this. Sound quality is the most important component of a successful virtual meeting from like a technical perspective. The actual meeting itself, whole other ballgame. But we want to make sure sound is good. So if you're hearing the rogue echo, if you're hearing rogue feedback or ambient noise or whatever it is, pop open the participants tab and you'll be able to see, is Susie is talking because she's contributing to the meeting, but Cameron is not actively talking, and yet the microphone for Cameron is lit up. So that means Cameron's our offender here. Somebody tell him, get some headphones. So that's one way that we use the participant's mic, is we can say, hey, Cameron, can you mute? It sounds like there's some feedback coming from your microphone. So that's step one. The other one is specifically on Teams, Microsoft Teams is really, really helpful because it is connected to the invitation itself in Outlook. If that's how you set it up, then you can see on the participants list who is already in the meeting and who was invited but has not yet joined, and their responses to the meeting invite. So you can see if Stanley was supposed to be on the meeting, but he declined, or I'm running out of names. Stephanie was also supposed to be in the meeting, but she said she'd be tentative, so maybe we don't wait. But then Sue Ellen, I'm really running out of names, accepted the meeting, but she's not yet in. And so that gives you a really quick rundown, especially at the beginning of meetings, if you're the facilitator, to say, hey, we're still waiting for Sue Ellen to join. So let's give her another minute and then we'll jump into the meeting. So I know one of the constant conversations at the beginning of those meetings is, hey, do we have everybody? Are we still waiting on anybody? So that participants tab is going to be your best friend. All right, next one is check your environment. So virtual meeting etiquette rule, check your environment. So audio is number one, far and away the most important. But it's also a video meeting most of the time. And personally, I prefer video meetings over pure audio 99 times out of 100. It really is helpful to be able to see somebody, see reactions, gauge body language to some degree. It's not the same as being in person, but it really does add a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of dynamics. I don't know that word. I really wanted to know that word. Okay. To the meeting, to be able to see people. So once you hit turning on my video, be aware of your visual environment. So what you're wearing. You'll be able to see belly button up, probably, based on whatever kind of computer software you're wearing and where your computer software you're using. where your computer sits, all of that good stuff. But for the most part, people are going to be able to see what top you're wearing, what shirt you're wearing. So just be aware of that. It is still a reflection of you and your personality and all of that. And so if it's a casual meeting, if you're on Friday and your company's already pretty casual, throw on a t-shirt. And probably not, like, it's probably totally fine if that's what you would wear to the office. On a normal day, wear a nice dress shirt if that's what you would have worn to the office. If you're in an interview and it's supposed to be a business professional interview, please wear a suit, at least on top. I know you can wear your pajama pants on the bottom if you want, until you get up to go change the thermostat, which just happened to me, and then you realize that you walked away and you left your camera still on and everyone saw your pajama pants. And it's not the end of the world, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh man, I really did think no one was gonna see my pajama pants today, and yet they did. So be aware of what you're wearing. My default is stick with what's visible, stick with what you would have worn to the office or what you would have worn in person if you're doing an interview. That's just the best way to do it. Your background. You certainly don't have to go above and beyond and get something fancy, but be aware of your background. So in this new world of virtual meetings, self-awareness and self-expression take on two very new ideas, two new manifestations. So one of those self-awareness pieces is my audio setup good? Should I be proactively muting right now? So that's clearly a big one, and I think I have clearly conveyed that message. But the other is, what is my environment presenting to the other people on the call? And is it a messy room, or is it, funky posters that are an expression of who I am and what I care about? So you can do that with your actual physical background if you intend to leave your background, your true background, what's actually behind you in real life, visible, or several softwares now allow you to upload a picture as your background. Sometimes it's animated, but something like that. And it could be a beach scene or a picture of your office as if you were sitting in your office, which several of the people that I work with have caught on to that, and it cracks me up because it's actually very effective and it takes you a while to figure out they're not actually sitting in their office. But just be aware of that, and cleaner is always better, especially for an interview. You can have some talking pieces if you want it to be interesting, but you certainly don't have to, spend a lot of time on that. If you can opt for a blank wall or some sort of neutral Zoom background, then that's always a good option as well. The third one for your environment is lighting. So in general, we want there to be enough light that the people who are looking at your video can actually see your face, can see the expressions that you're making, as well as other nonverbals. But good, pretty, clean light is important. So if you can get close to a window, that is best. The little bit of photographer in me is coming out, and that natural light, diffused natural light, is the best light source. It's universally flattering, looks great. So if you can face a window, that's number one. If you can't do that, if your desk is in kind of a darker corner of your room, you can get a lamp to do that and put it again in front of your face. Or you can get kind of like a cheapo ring light, which is what I did. So I face kind of near a window, but not directly. And so there are there's not great light directly on my face for a lot of my meetings. And so I have a ring light that I got for $20 from Amazon. And it is a USB ring light. So it literally plugs into my computer. And just gives me a little bit more light on my face during the day when I'm in those meetings, so that people can see my nonverbals, they can see my face, all of that good stuff. So, not a deal breaker if you're in your 40th meeting of the week and you know these people and they know you, and they could probably have this meeting with their eyes closed. If you're in an interview setting where you're trying to get to know someone and you're trying to have that really nuanced conversation and read each other and connect, good lighting is going to be important. Final section are my bonus hacks. So these are not my rules, but general good practices. So number one, for screen sharing, please turn off all of your notifications. Just Google it. If you don't know how to do it, just make it happen. If you're sharing your screen and you get a notification coming in when you're sharing with a whole bunch of people, it just doesn't look good. It's distracting. It doesn't help you move the meeting forward. Share only the window you intend to present unless you want to show your whole screen. I know this is a Teams thing where you can choose between the two. Less is more here. If you can only show the PowerPoint, that's great in case you accidentally open up your email and then you don't want to show your email to everyone. So less is more there. Hide your bookmarks in your browser. So maybe it's like my little confession, but as soon as someone shares their screen, if they open up a browser, the first thing that I do is I look at what tabs do they have open and what are their bookmarks. And maybe that makes me a bad person. Maybe that just makes me nosy. But it's there and it's visible for me to see. And if I see an open tab to Facebook and I see a login to Reddit or Capital One or something like that, I'm like then distracted from whatever it was that you were pulling up on Google to show me. So there's a very quick keyboard shortcut to hide your bookmarks. I recommend that you do that and close any tabs. Again, less is more. You want to keep people focused on the meeting, on the topic at hand. All right. If there are connection issues, so this is my last tip here. If there are connection issues, try to turn off incoming video and turn off your video. So, like I've said 1,000,000 times, audio is the most important part of a meeting or an interview. So, always prioritize audio. Video is fantastic to have as well. If you can't hear somebody, like if your internet's going out or if their internet's going in and out, then the first thing that you should try to do is turn off your video and their video, like the incoming video. And you can find this in settings or you can Google it to figure out how to do that. But what that does is it basically allocates more of your connection, your internet connection, to just the audio, because it's not worried about trying to transmit and receive video. So that is my number one trick for connection issues. When in doubt, if you can hardwire, do. If you can plug directly into an Ethernet or something like that, especially for really high crunch time interviews, just really important things. Check those things ahead of time. And one last bit, again, for interviews is please check all of this. Please run through, do a recording on the software if you can. Check your background, check your audio, actually talk into it. If you can get somebody else on the call with you to record as like kind of your mock interview style, do that and just check to make sure that all of the the components, all of the mechanics of the virtual meeting are going to work exactly as you hope them to, so that you can just focus on the point of the interview, which is to express how wonderful you are and how much they should hire you. And same thing for meetings. You want to be able to focus on the objective of the meeting, have a great meeting, and get all the work done. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was interesting, insightful. Maybe you learned a tip or trick, and you are well on your way to becoming a virtual meeting master. Thanks for being here.